Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee meeting on November 9th, 2020 at 7:59 p.m. We have councilors participating in the chamber as well as remotely via Teams meeting. All votes will be a roll call vote. I will ask to call the roll to confirm attendance. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas is here.
Councilor Tenera.
Here.
Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram is here.
Councilor Pearlman.
Councilor Pearlman is here.
And Councilor Irish is present. We do have two items this evening on the agenda. The first one is a proposed tax increment financing agreement, TIF, with Revance Therapeutics Incorporated. Second item is a proposed amendment to the City Code Chapter 270, Building and Site Development, Section 9 fees. And I will start with the first item, order number 20-100-8135, communication from the Mayor Vigent with proposed tax increment financing agreement, TIF, with Revance Therapeutics Incorporated and BH Group TCAM owner, LLC, for 79,000 square foot facility with parking facilities to be constructed at 100, 110, 250, 350 Campus Drive. And I will start by reading the letter from the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, please find enclosed for your review a tax increment financing TIF agreement with Revance Therapeutics Incorporated and BH Group TCAM owner LLC. Revance, a biotech company based in Newark, California, is leasing a 79,000 square feet single-tenant building and parking facility to be constructed by the owner, located at 100, 110, 250, and 350 Campus Drive in Marlborough. Revance Therapeutic Incorporated will create and maintain 76 permanent full-time jobs available to qualified residents of Marlborough at the projected area. Additionally, improvements to the project area are estimated in initial capital investment of approximately $115 million in combined soft, real property, and personal property costs. They are also applying for certified project status from the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council. Due to the strong and growing commitment to the life sciences industry, Marlborough is rated a Platinum Bio-Ready community by the Massachusetts Biotechnology Council. This puts the city among the most favorable biotech destinations in the state. Just 7% of Massachusetts communities have achieved platinum status. This investment equates to new job opportunities in our community and additional tax revenue, ensuring the tax burden does not fall solely on our residents. All active TIF agreements are monitored and tracked by the MEDC on a continual basis to ensure job numbers and other commitments surrounding annual reporting and investments are being met. Enclosed for your review are the following. 1, a preliminary application from the Commonwealth of Mass. 2, intent to apply. 3, resolution. And 4, the TIF. I look forward to discussing with you further. Please do not hesitate to contact me with any questions. Sincerely, Arthur G. Vigent, Mayor, Marlborough. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for listening and accepting this proposal. We're really excited tonight. When we're talking about COVID and what's going to happen with office space, and the people going to move out from Boston to the west, and we're going to be okay out here, and we have those discussions on a regular basis. Revance comes and knocks on the door, and we've had different meetings with them, and we're so excited to welcome them to the city of Marlborough. Not only do we have a great company coming here with some great jobs, but they're building a new building, which makes it even better. So we're adding to our revenue base. We're bringing some people into the city that aren't currently here, and we're really excited to have them come here tonight. This allows them to tie into the credits that the state has available, and there were a couple different options for the company as far as where they were going to locate and call home, and we're so excited that they decided to chose Marlborough, and they're going to be starting construction hopefully soon. We're going to get this process moving and get the building department right on it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Meredith to see if she has anything she wants to add before we ask for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just really excited to be here tonight, bringing some good news during, a pandemic, and, we're watching some of our smaller businesses as they, continue to do okay, but a lot of them are, struggling, and it's nice to see some of these life science companies really doing well. So we have some folks here from Revance and also from T3 Advisors, the group that's been helping us bring Revance to Marlborough. And so, in keeping track of time, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler and Brian and Austin to give a quick overview of Revance, what they do, and hear a little bit more about why they decided to choose Marlborough for their next home.
Thank you, Meredith. We really appreciate that and appreciate all your time tonight. My name is Tyler Hales, and my colleague Austin Barrett and I are with T3 Advisors. Brian is here from Revance. And so, Brian, if you don't mind, if I can ask you to give a brief overview on the company, and then I can maybe speak to some of the factors that have led to the selection of Marlborough for this expansion.
Absolutely, Tyler. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that introduction and your excitement. I'm very excited as well to possibly get a facility going on the East Coast. Revance Therapeutics is a biotechnology company. We're focused on both innovative aesthetic and therapeutic indications for our proprietary drug product, which is an injectable toxin. It is similar to Botox, but has basically lasts twice as long according to our clinical trials. So we're really on the cusp of getting this product approved with the FDA. We filed for a biological license application last November, and we're eagerly awaiting their inspection on the West Coast, and that approval will drive this project and is really the overall need for it. The activities we'll be taking in Marlborough are formulation and filling of our drug product, as well as secondary packaging and labeling, and warehousing as well, and distribution. Revance Therapeutics has been around in one guise or another since 1998. We're a publicly traded company. We have a market cap right around $1 billion. And we basically focus our business on three main areas. We have the injectable toxin I spoke about that is both for aesthetic uses, such as glabellar lines, and then also therapeutics, such as cervical dystonia, upper limb spasticity, plantar fasciitis, migraine. Those are a few of the indications we're looking at right now. The second part of our business line, if you will, is we distribute dermal fillers in conjunction with a company named Teoxane out of Europe. That is also one of our major business lines. We just launched that partnership in June and have reported our first revenues from that this quarter. Last but not least, we have a financial technology platform that goes into the dermatologist offices that basically gives us a platform and beachhead for both of our products to get distributed. That company is called HintMD. They were recently added in June. We have a total of 500 employees, close to 500 employees spread out through 4 sites right now, and Marlborough would be our 5th site, just to kind of give you an idea of the scale of the corporation. I think that's probably a good summary. I'm happy to entertain whatever questions you may have, but I'm excited to be here, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. I will jump in with a few of the project drivers and some of the locations considered just for some additional background, and then that will be it for our presentation. The 5 key drivers that we set out to accomplish in this expansion were to find a facility that meets operational requirements similar to HQ and other facilities in the portfolio, select a location where the company can hire and retain exceptional talent, lower operating costs as much as possible, holistically, real estate, labor, tax, and other operating costs, operate in a stable and business-friendly environment, and then provide flexibility for future growth for the company. We started with a long list of locations that we looked at both domestically and internationally, and really whittled it down to a shorter list of Massachusetts and Ireland. And we looked at several locations throughout, and we're very excited for the warm welcome we received, and feel that this is Marlborough is the right place to set up this operation and to really expand the growth of the business. And so we very much appreciate all the work and effort to date, and we're excited for this project to move forward.
Absolutely.
With that, that's the conclusion of our presentation. But we're happy to answer any questions or dive further into any topic.
Thank you, Brian and Tyler. Yes, I will open it up to the Finance Committee if they have a quick question. I do want to remind the committee that we will be going through the application and the resolution as well, but I will open it up for quick questions.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to see that the company is providing fill operations for the injectable RTO02. I'm reading from your application, and also the additional research and development space. It appears that your employer, as an employee, that you'll be employing various positions. Might it be scientific? Might it be someone that's in manufacturing? Am I correct in saying that?
You are very correct, Councilman. Basically, you have a distinct operation for drug product manufacturing. You will have warehousing. There will be quality control and R&D laboratories on the site as well. So all three of those main areas, the employee will draw from the local population. We also will have a small G&A and IT staff on site as well.
And if I may, I also see in that same the first paragraph in part 2 that you may be considering a packaging and assembly facility, and I'm hoping you'll do very well within our city. And if you do, I hope you consider Marlborough for that facility as well.
Yeah, just to clarify, that is already designed into the facility, and we will be executing that as part of the initial project. We may have a need to add a second line if volumes go the way we want. But yes, we will be entertaining that in the initial build as well.
And last but not least, I know on the application it mentions you'll be employing 76 permanent full-time jobs available to qualified residents of Marlborough. In reading everything, I presume that's by 2025. Am I correct in saying that?
You're correct, Councilman. There'll be a scale up probably starting in 23, going to that full number in 2025. Basically, the construction and equipment lead times for something like this is multiple years. So that's the drivers really around hiring staff. But 2023 would be the start, and then we'll reach that full number in 25. Correct.
Thank you so much for your answers.
You're welcome.
Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, gentlemen. My question, I guess, is I do not trust anything on the internet. So when I did a Google search, exec pay, it states that Reverence Therapeutics CEO Mark Fuller received $17.2 million in 2019. And then when you break it down, Reverence Therapeutics reported fiscal year in 2019 executive compensation. About 6 executives got an average of $4.5 million, which is a 108% increase compared to the previous year. Can we confirm or deny that? Or do you not want to go on record and state that?
I really can't comment on that, Councilman, as much as I'd like to. It's public information. It would be in our filings, and I don't have the exact details in front of me. Sorry, I don't. Okay. But that should be a matter of public filing for finding those salaries.
Okay. So we'll just say that it is true. We'll go with the theory that it is true.
Okay.
During COVID, obviously, now we had to lay off numerous municipal employees. People are having difficulty paying their bills at home and their taxes. I know that numerous small businesses like myself are on the verge of shutting down. And obviously, if I could not pay taxes or have some alleviated from my taxes, that would be much better for my personal pocket. I'm still committed to hopefully do bonuses for my employees, but at the end of the line, that affects my wallet, and it's a choice that I make. My concern is that if this is true,
Okay.
why would Mr. Foley and your executives seem to be basking in millions of dollars and asking our constituents to pick up the slack when you'll be using our roads, our public safety, and other community resources? And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot. It's just extremely difficult now for when big companies come into our little communities and want to take money out of the pockets of our constituents. When I have women or senior citizens, men and women, who can't pay their property tax because their income level does not go up because it's a fixed income, and then they're forced to volunteer or other, thankfully Marlborough does a lot of charitable things where they can subsidize that payment. And yet I had to make the call and say, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you, but I voted for Reverence to come in and give 75 jobs to high qualified salaries.
Councilor Dumas?
A tax
I'm
income.
just going to interrupt you for one moment, Councilor Dumas. I do want to mention as well that they still will be paying a high number of personal
I completely understand.
property,
I understand the process. I get
as well as
that.
bringing in any of the additional building fees on those $1 million improvement. I just wanted to mention that.
100%, I understand that, but it still doesn't sit well with me. And again, this is my personal thing, my decision that I had to sleep at night to make this vote. So I'm just wondering if we can comment on that or not. I mean, it's just my personal belief, and I struggle with this personally, but thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Councilor Roby.
Chairman?
Councilor Ossing, President Ossing. I'll get back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of things. So we can ask what their executives pay, Councilor Dumas, and I respect that, but it's none of our business. I mean, it's public information. The question is, do you want a brand-new building that we are getting zero taxes for right now?
course.
Zero, nothing, right? That we will have a new building built in the city of Marlborough in these times that will generate tax revenue for the future. So it was a play that we used back with 3Com to say, hey, we're giving all this money away, these buildings are coming in. We have not lost a dime, and the taxpayers have benefited significantly from every tip we've issued in this city. It's there to say we're taking money out of somebody's hand. I just want to be clear. It may be your opinion, but it's not a fact. And I don't want the public to be misconstrued that that's how this works. It doesn't work that way. It is extremely important to bring revenue in. This helps so we can maintain our taxes at the rate that we do below any of the surrounding communities. Sorry, I get as passionate about this as you do.
And I love the debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll have the mayor just comment quickly, and then I'll go to Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, I just want to clarify that, first of all, our competition was Northborough. Their tax rate is about half of what the commercial rate is here. They have a single tax rate, and the city of Marlborough has decided to tax the businesses twice as much as the residents in the city. And that's why we've been able to keep the rate down so much. And as the President Ossing said, right now, we're getting taxed, we're taxing 100% of the land value down there. And next year, we're going to tax 100% of the land value down there. And the year after that, we're going to tax 100%. That does not go down. Nothing comes out of the taxpayers' pockets. Nothing. So it's just a question of whether this council wants to have a new building put down there that may be valued at somewhere around, I don't know, let's just throw a $20 million value on it and have $50,000 a year in tax, 50,000, a lot more than that, of additional tax revenue coming in to offset what we charge our residents. So again, I don't want to mislead anyone. There is nothing coming out of the pockets of any resident in this city. That's a misnomer, and it needs to be clarified. It's about adding new value and how fast we want to add the new value. And we're competing with someone that has a tax rate half of what we have in the city. So that's, and we're bringing 76 new people in the city to spend money in our small businesses, our convenience stores, hopefully our restaurants and our gas stations and others in the city, as the 25,000 employees that work here do now. The other thing that I put in this agreement that we hadn't had in there before, I know I talked to Councilor Wagner about it, because she was curious why it had changed, but I added in there that they had to be on-site jobs, because now with the new virtual work market, you know, it's changed a little bit. So I did put in here that they have to be on-site jobs. So I just want to, again, clarify that this is not taking 10 cents out of the pockets of the residents. It's just adding more tax revenue farther down the line than it would be tomorrow if, in fact, the building is built. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to highlight that as well, that certainly other communities would be tripping over themselves to try to get this company into Marlborough during this, certainly these trying times with the COVID and the uncertainty and questionable times of the Massachusetts economy. And certainly other communities like Westboro, they've been working on some tips as well that they've gotten through. I'll go to Council Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I certainly understand the passion from Councilor Dumas, I do think maybe he's being misunderstood, and I would suggest maybe thinking about it, if I wanted to build a house in Marlborough and I want to build $1 million house, I'm going to ask for a 30-year or 15-year tip so that I don't have to pay my taxes on that house. You're not going to give it to me. But we certainly have in the past decided that tips for businesses are good for the city. And I'm not saying that this one is not. I guess I have some other concerns that we're making this out to be a bigger deal than it really is. So I'm going to talk about the $115 million in combined soft real property and personal property costs that they're talking about this costing them. I looked at the assessor's records on the current site that this building's going to be built on, and I don't see that the land has any value to it currently. It's zero. Building 1 is appraised at $21 million, and it's a 314,000 square foot building. Building 2 is appraised at $29.2 million. It's a 216,000 square foot area. This is a 79,000 square foot building that will have none of its personal property taxed because it is a manufacturing site. So how much will this building really be assessed at when it is completed in 2025? I don't know. I guess it depends on how the values of everything else goes, but it's not going to be 115 million. That's pretty clear. So I guess I again also I question the hiring of the people, and the mayor had just stated that these are on-site positions. It does say that the schedule has 25 people hired by the end of fiscal year 23, an additional by the end of fiscal year 24, and an additional 26 by the end of fiscal year 25. Page 2 of the EDIP application states you're going to begin construction in fiscal year 21 and complete it in fiscal year 24. That's August of 23. So and then open it in April of 25. So I'm not sure. The project's complete, but it's not open. So where are these people going to be if the facility isn't occupied, if you don't have an occupancy permit between when it's completed and you've hired them?
So I'm happy to take that question, Councilman. With a project of this type, the construction itself and design, you're talking somewhere the shell would be up within 12 to 15 months. The construction we intend to do at Revance to specialize the building for our use is 12 months. The equipment lead time is kind of concurrent. So you order the equipment now, it is not ready for 2 years, just so you have an idea of the lead times. So basically, we would have everything installed and operational in 2023. Since we are an FDA and CDC regulated company, we have to go through what's called commissioning and validation, which can take up to a year. So we'll have people on site operating the building in 23. They'll be conducting testing and validation throughout those 2 years. And just let me kind of allay your concerns as far as COVID and working in this environment. We have a manufacturing facility in Newark, California right now. Through this pandemic, we have had staff on site of about 80 people working continuously producing our product. We do that safely through doing COVID testing and following all CDC and other protocols. So these positions that are described in this letter are on site. They will always be on site. Quality control and manufacturing staff cannot do their jobs from elsewhere, just to be clear on that point. And that's kind of when we talk about timelines, there is a good 2 years we will be operating the facility before we produce commercial product. That is part of any FDA regulated facility and part of getting it going. I just kind of wanted to clarify on that point. I hope I've answered your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that does definitely help. I know that buildings are constructed and then they have to be given occupancy permits, but as you indicated, the construction could be done, but you could be doing lots of different things inside. I just have a couple of other quicker questions in going through the specific TIF. They're not numbered by pages, but in section 2, 2A, where it talks about the employment levels, you're required to report the number of employees that were employed by the company in Massachusetts prior to the effective date of this agreement. As far as I believe it's 0. So why do you have to report something that the EDIP application states is 0? Is that the standard language?
I can jump in on that one if it would help. So the reporting, Councilor Roby, that they're required to do is all standardized by the state MOBD, which is the Mass Office of Business Development. So the reports that they'll be filling out is a standardized report that each company that it receives a TIF in the Commonwealth is required to fill out. So Revance in this situation would just report 0 for that line.
Okay. You also have, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where my questions went. It's in 2F, it talks about you have a report to describe the private investment, including but not limited to donations and or perpetual maintenance of land for recreational purposes made by the company for the benefit of the community. So you're leasing a building. What donation of land would you be able to give to the community?
Meredith, I think that was also standard language that was included in the document. And I don't know if that's part of the state reporting as well, but maybe you can speak to that one.
Councilor Roby, can you just, I didn't catch which section you're looking at. I'm not seeing that part.
2F.
If I, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, the property down there a number of years ago was converted to condos. The campus is a condo site. So maybe that's why you're not able to find the land value, nor would they be able to cut out a piece of land to donate to the city. It's one site. It's divided up into several different units by the companies that are down there. I think you were part of the council when we did that, Councilor.
The assessment actually does describe it as being condos, and it does have different assessments for each building, and all of the buildings have the numbers in them. But my understanding is the TIF is specifically for the company, not for the owner, and the owner owns the land. So I guess I still question how.
I can chime in here. This is Austin, Councilwoman. The assessed value that we've gotten from Great Land is around $16 million. And so that's what we've anticipated. I think it's about a $400,000 tax increase from net zero, because this parcel has no existing structure on it. And so they're carving out a lot within the site to create this building. So it'll be a net $386,000 without the TIF. If that makes sense. So that's what their assessed value is. And they also have a kind of scaled assessed value during construction, because they're going to complete the core and shell, and there will be a lease up stabilization that the city will come to us with. And that'll be passed through the lease that we will be responsible for. And then we'll be hopefully be using the TIF to counterset that.
Okay, thank you. I know that there's land up there at the top of this that has been discussed as being either more commercial, or I think there was even discussion at some point of them trying to figure out how they could put residential up there. So it's not surprising that the land's being developed. If my final question is just on section 7 of the report, it talks about within it, it says the company shall be deemed to have made reasonable efforts to engage local businesses under this section 6. And then another spot, it talks about section 6. So I think it really means section 7, and I'll let Meredith look at that one. I think it's a typo. It really should be section 7, not section 6. And I will leave it at that for my questions. Thank you very much.
Councilor Roby, if I could just answer your previous question as well. Everything under section 2 that you were referring to, that it's all standardized language for the state, the reports that they're required to submit. And we will correct that typo. Thank you for pointing that out.
Is that it, Councilor Roby?
That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. I have a quick question for either Meredith or Brian. I know there is plenty of parking there. Are you planning on also building a parking garage?
Austin, do you want to handle that, or Tyler? I think they do have some plans to add some parking. I am not clear on the final plan. And Austin, if you have more details, please share that.
Yeah, from what I understand, there's no parking garage to date. They've got some additional potential use for parking garage if they build any additional on FAR on the site. So if they add another building, they would remove some of the parking and add a structure. So there's no parking structure as part of this plan, I don't think.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that, because I know it said you do have plenty of parking in that facility. If there's no other further questions, sorry, Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I do have a couple of questions. I know the property pretty well. Back when it was under construction, I was working at 200 Forest Street and saw the cranes going up behind the building when I was doing it. That location is a marquee location in the site for office location. Up there, you have an incredible view of going west. It's just phenomenal. So you guys lucked out as far as location goes, and I hope your employees enjoy it. I do have just a couple of questions. One of the things that was brought up, you said that your market cap is $1 billion, right?
Right around, yes.
Ballpark.
Yes.
And 500 employees?
460 by last count, yes.
That's impressive. I got to give you that. Number of employees and that type of market capitalization. Basically, there was a reference to either 75 or 105, 76 or 105 employees at the location. Which way do you think it's going to be?
It'll probably start at 76. What we're planning to do with the plan is add the provision of the space for a second manufacturing line to keep up with some of our partnerships with other companies like Mylan and Fosun in China. So it may expand, but I think 76 to start is a conservative estimate.
Okay, is this going to be 24-hour operation?
It'll be an extended day shift operation. You'll probably have the equivalent of about 2 shifts.
Okay.
Second shift will be primarily prepping and cleaning components. All the main activities will take place during the daytime.
Okay. So to be honest, I was really concerned about it being a 15-year TIF, but you explaining that basically it's going to take 5 years for you guys to actually get somewhere. I was thinking a 10-year TIF I would be comfortable with, but you actually argued a good point to make it 15. For between 23 and 25, what are you guys doing?
So it's basically what the FDA calls commissioning and validation. So you basically have to test all of the systems you've built, all the utility systems, all the process equipment to ensure it performs as you expect it to. And then furthermore, you have to validate it, which is basically simulating the manufacturing process and demonstrating that data to the FDA when they come in. So just to give you an example, we'll probably run 15 to 20 production runs before the FDA ever shows up to approve the facility. This is part of any FDA approved facility in the US or in the EU if you're talking EMEA, which is the European agency. They all require this testing, and it's quite expensive and takes quite a long time. Our facility in Newark, just for essence, we built it in 2008, 2009. We're now awaiting the final inspection to make it a commercial facility, just for context. So that's 10 years or 11 years versus 5 years on this site. It gets easier once you have your first product approved, but I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, you did, and I appreciate that. Does the material that you create on these pilot runs, is it effectively destroyed?
Yes, it's effectively destroyed. It'll be heat inactivated until it's inert. Correct.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about any type of waste or anything coming out of the facility?
No, most of the great thing with the active compound we work with, it's easily degraded and made completely harmless by heat and or chemicals. You can use sodium hydroxide or bleach and then pH neutralize that. There is very little environmental footprint in what we do. We don't generate a lot of hazardous waste. It's mainly medical waste, and that's gowning material for the most part. That is autoclaved on site and then sent off site for medical incineration.
Okay, and we're talking about a new building, which, when 3Com promised the world to Marlborough, they left this spot. So good for finally getting that area developed, guys. But it's going to be about 70,000 square feet, which is about 900 square feet per employee, right? So there's not a large number of employees that are going to be hired for here, really. I mean, retail stores have more employees than that.
Yeah, just to answer that, so our process is heavily automated and isolated because of the compounds we deal with. That is the reason and it's 80,000 square feet. It's a fair point, but we use a highly automated process to produce it. That's what drives the low number of employees.
Okay, and just so that, the way I see this is basically, the large investment in capital equipment is also going to be a revenue stream for the city as well, because we pay, they pay money on their capital costs back to us. So, the city will make money off of this over time, even though there may not be the employee base that it would if it was going to be an office park. But, I think this would be a great asset for the city. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. If there's no other further questions at that point for the finance, Council Perlman. Sorry about that, Council Perlman.
Thank you. Sorry, I know we've had a lot of back and forth. I had a couple of questions that I kind of directed to different folks. So first, I was curious, if Meredith, if there's an assessment of like how many TIFs exist currently in the city of Marlborough. That's not something I'm familiar with.
Sorry, Council Promo, I was trying to unmute myself there. We currently have 10 active TIFs that are in the city, and we can share some stats on those if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful for the council to have. And another question sort of in terms of the job creation, I know it was listed, over time, the 76 permanent full-time jobs available to qualified residents. So I'm just kind of wondering, what the qualifications would be for someone to work here, and imagining, given some of the comments earlier, there's this, influx of people who come to work in the city of Marlborough that we hope would also live in the city of Marlborough versus those who already live here having opportunities to jobs. And I don't know if you could speak to that directly.
I can kind of talk the skill set, and then we can kind of talk about the heat map as far as employee base near the city, and I'll turn that part over to Tyler. A lot of it is basic FDA, GMP training. Some of that we can do on site, like warehousemen, some of the lower level manufacturing techs. Often we train them ourselves and get them integrated. Some of the higher positions, scientists, quality control analysts, they usually have the background in that field before we hire them. But we do invest a lot in training. Most of our employees, in fact, all of our employees that work in the manufacturing quality control role have to go through a Department of Justice clearance as well as part of CDC regulations. So we do end up training employees for 3 to 4 months, and we do invest a lot in our employees. And it would be an easy transition for some of the population you have in your city to get some of these jobs, I would think, from my perspective. I hope that answers your question. Tyler, do you want to take the...
Just briefly add on to that. The agreement obviously discusses a job fair in conjunction with the mayor's office that we are excited to participate in and welcome other opportunities to create programs or incentives in facilitating hiring of local residents. One of the reasons we did extensive labor analysis. My team did extensive labor analysis in making this determination, and feel that the labor shed in and around Marlborough is going to be a great asset for this operation. So we're excited to participate and try to hire as many local folks as possible. We do believe strongly that the shorter the commute is the greatest lever that a company has in terms of making an employee happier. And so it'll be in everyone's best interest to hire local folks.
Well, as someone who commuted for a very long time, I definitely resonate with that statement. It's nice to not have to commute as much if you can be closer to your place of work. And it's helpful to hear. I would definitely emphasize the training programs, the job fairs, and hiring from within the city of Marlborough. I know that we have a lot of residents who'd be very eager to take on these types of jobs, and ensuring that they see the full spectrum of what's available for the different skill sets, especially when there's training available for some of those jobs, as you mentioned. And then my last question, or I guess multiple, is how long did it take for you all to make the selection that, I know you mentioned Ireland and Northborough, and, I'm sure there were a lot of other places in between, but I just was curious some of that process, how long that took.
Austin, do you want to take that, or you want me to take it? I don't care either way.
Sure, I can take that. We started this process back in 2015, and we at the time were very, very focused on the Bay Area. We have a large operation in the Bay Area. We had some redundancy in staff. We were focused on that. I think we picked things back up, I want to say late 2018, and that's when we took a more holistic approach to our search and expanded it to Ireland. Mark Foley had joined Revance from another large aesthetic company that they sold to Allergan for $2.5 billion. So has a great track record, started here at Revance, and wanted to think more about different talent pools and how to attract and scale the company in a more efficient way. And so that's what led to this project, and really came down to Ireland and Mass over the last probably 6 to 9 months. We've been going through the process, and again, Marlborough's been fantastic from kind of start to finish here. So we're excited.
That's great to hear, and I appreciate sort of that overall context, since we don't know the sort of backstory about what brought you all, to this point in the process, and even just, thinking back to the jobs conversation, it's assuming these are really higher salaried positions as well, and we know that the city has, been trying to become more affordable, but a lot of people have are commuting from other places. So it's really important that the people who would be able to have these salaries would be living in the city of Marlborough and contributing to our infrastructure here. Well, I appreciate your answering of my questions, and I will defer. I think Councilor Orem also had his hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Councilor Orem.
I'll try to make two quick, easy questions. Hopefully they'll be responded quickly to, but they're important. And they're both related to the previous questions. Outreach to our community. In respect to training, I know you noted most of it's in-house, but do you have any programs that you work with our colleges, our trade schools, our technical schools, high schools, to try to get people interested in this type of position?
Tyler, you want to take that? All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So we would happily engage on creation of a curriculum or a program with any local colleges or even high schools to create curriculum. Ultimately, that will be in the company's best interest as well to do that. And again, we're committed to hiring qualified, talented folks within the region. And so we would love the opportunity to engage on that with the right folks.
Right.
Thank you. And then the other question is the community. Again, we're offering a TIF if it does get approved. What type of community engagement have you been involved in your other four facilities, such as might it be part of a food drive, or I've asked the same question of others that have come in for TIFs, like TJX. They said what they did. Just curious what type of community engagement you may involve yourself in to help our community in other aspects.
Yeah, happy to take that one, Councilman. Basically, in three of our facilities right now and a fourth that's opening up, we have a community outreach program that's run by our HR group. We have built houses for some disadvantaged communities in the Bay Area. We've done food drives, Christmas gift drives. We are very active. We have a team that's created in the company that works exactly on this topic and kind of outreach to the community. That is a very active part of what Revance is and what we do. And we would seek the same engagement in whatever community we located our facility in. So I'd like to lay your concerns there, if I might. That particular group has a large budget that's attributed to it each year that it can spend on worthy causes as well, just to kind of address that issue.
Thank you very much. That does help with my decision as well. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Orem. I'd like to also mention with MEDC, they're having a virtual job fair on November 12th, so that's a good thing for the city. It's well received. For the rest of the finance team, if we'd like, we can start going through the agreement between the city and Reverence Therapeutics on the 11-15 of your packet. We can go through that. Any questions on that first page by any of the finance team? And then the second page is the city's obligations. Project area real property tax exemption schedule. Any questions on that? I know it was brought up earlier. Shows for the base valuation of the project area. Next page is the company's obligation and the owner's obligation. And then further down, if there's no questions there, schedule of job creation that shows by 2030 the 76 permanent jobs created. Oh, sorry, Council Perman.
Sorry, yeah, and I'm trying to follow the page numbers, but I had a comment on 11-19.
Okay, yep,
I don't know if we were there yet.
Yeah, no, next page, 11-19. Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, so number 2, I was curious with the company submitting annual written reports, if that could also be sent to the city council, either through the mayor, but it would be wonderful to be updated on some of these job creations.
I think that goes to MEDC, but I'll let Director Harris respond on that, if she may, please.
I'll let Meredith handle that.
Sure. So the reports for all of the TIFs, and I misspoke earlier, it's 9 active TIFs, Councilor Perlman. We do get annual reports for every one of them. We do put together a compliance report each year that is directly sent to the mayor's office.
Okay, thank you. That helps. I would love to have that get sent to the council as well. And Meredith, for the 9 TIFs that you mentioned, are they all 10 years as was described it was typically common, or can you kind of assess maybe the shortest and the longest so we have context?
If I might, Counselor, they've all been different. We've had 20-year TIFs, we've had 5-year TIFs. A number of them have already expired because their term is up. So they're all at different stages, but I believe that report has been coming down to the city council. So we'd be glad to get a fresh one down to you.
Thank you. That'd be great, especially as one of the newer counselors. I'd love to review that. So thank you.
Councilor Perlman, just to add to that, there's a variety of different investment job numbers with each different TIF. It just depends on the company. And some of the larger TIFs that we've done, they range up to 20 years. Some of the more recent TIFs have been, 5 or 7 years. And really, when we look at it, it's based on the investment that's coming in, the jobs, a number of different factors.
And for the ones with the jobs creation, have those always been met?
We do have some that don't always meet the job numbers for, different reasons, one or another. One in particular this year, Candela, was a couple jobs short, but we do have stuff built into the TIF calculation that if you don't meet the job numbers, it's prorated based on the number that you are able to meet. That calculation you'll find in the TIF document in your packet.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving still on 11-19. Any other questions there? We can go to the next page, 11-20. It goes over some of the financing exemption percentages. Next page is 11-21. I know there's a clause in there that the city shall be given 60 days written notice prior to any company announcement to a general public. 11-22. With other considerations. And then on 11-23, any modifications? No questions there? The finance team, I want to go back to one where it is the actual resolution for the city, and that is on 11-13 of your packet. This form has been approved by the city solicitor. Any questions on that part? Nothing on that for the finance team? (11-13). If there's no other further questions, I would certainly entertain a motion by the finance team.
Motion to approve.
Councilor Tenera.
Motion to approve?
I will second that. Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 20-100-8135, communication from Mayor Vision with proposed tax increment financing agreement TIF with Revance Therapeutics Incorporated and BH Group TCAM owner LLC for a 79,000 square foot facility with parking facilities to be constructed at 100, 110, 250, 350 Campus Drive. Any further discussions? Seeing none, I will call the roll.
Chair Irish?
Oh, I'm sorry, Council Perlman.
Sorry, it's Counselor Perman. I'm just curious, this is, more for myself, as someone who's not familiar with TIFs, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable voting on this tonight without having seen any other comparisons to other TIFs. And that's just something I'm throwing out. I don't know if anyone else feels similarly, but I know I'm a newer counselor, so I just wanted to put that on the floor as well.
President Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilor Perrin, if I can assist. Again, it's a standard TIF. The resolution, we vote on and approve the resolution. The motion by Councilor Teneris was approve the resolution and the TIF agreement itself. Part of one of the items is Revance has to go before the Mass Economic Development Authority, or I forget the number, but they got to get there by December 2nd. So it's contingent upon us to move this swiftly through the approval process, if it's the whim of the council. So from my standpoint of having worked on every TIF since 3Com, I find this to be one that's a company that I think helps our life science community, puts Marlborough on that map, that's the destination that we want life science companies to come to Marlborough. And again, there's no building there. We're going to get a building. The tax plan that starts, by the time they start making their product and issue in 2025, we're already down to 90% of the tax benefit. So I believe it's a good deal for the city, and I would strongly encourage the Finance Committee to approve it, and would recommend the full council support it as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
President Ossing, if I may ask just a clarifying question.
Sure.
After the revenants goes through the state process, then what happens? Would that then come before the full council if they get approval, or what would be the next step there?
No, once the council gives them the approval, and I'll let the mayor or Meredith correct me if I go off path, the economic development, the name of the outfit is the Economic Development Incentive Program, folks, the Economic Assistance Coordinating Council. They will look to make sure that we get it, the TIF has been approved, and then the state, because the states wants to bring companies in from around the Commonwealth or from around the country to work in the Commonwealth. They're not very excited about moving the company from Hudson to Marlborough, but they're very excited about moving them from California to Massachusetts. There's other incentives that they get, and this is a step to get to that process. So it's almost like a two-step process. They want to see the TIF, and then they want to get the funding from the state, or the relief from the state, I should say.
Councilor Landis.
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To Samantha's Perlin's note, there have been other TIFs before. I think they need to be tightly, supervised and monitored. I think we actually did a good job with this one. The other one we were involved with before, in a prior session, was with Candela Corporation. I thought that went well. We will be getting reports from Meredith Harris, the mayor, as far as what reports were. We can review that before the next city council meeting. The question is, do we want to get it out of committee? And, I think that we're at a point now where, because of timeliness, we should at least, I'm not part of the committee, so I'm just making this to, but I think that the question is, are we done discussing this now, and we can still discuss it at the committee, at the council floor, if there's additional conversation that needs to go on. So.
And I agree, and MEDC will send some more information. We can definitely count on that. And you are right with the other TIFs, Councilor Doucette. You are correct. We do have sight on what's happening with those ones, the different amount of years that we voted on the TIFs. Councilor Landers.
Yeah, I'd like to say, Mr. Chair, I'd like to see people move on this tonight on the committee, but I'm as enthusiastic now as I was last week. So I would say we should definitely move on this. We've done, 10 other TIFs. We have a good group with us. There is from MEDC. We got our legal department, and Three gentlemen on the screen there, you know, they picked us. They picked us for a reason. So we want to show them that we're very enthusiastic about this. We're very aggressive about having them there. And I think they will find that we'll be a great city to work with over the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I'd like to see you move forward on this. I'd like to see it on the next city council, that we all have an opportunity to vote on it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I echo your sentiments, Council Landis. And one thing that Council Doucette did mention earlier, I was very comfortable supporting this because it is a 15-year TIF, and they are committing through a 15-year lease and doing all the improvements that's going to benefit the city down the line. With that said, a motion has been made and seconded to approve the TIF agreement as well as the city council resolution. I will call the roll. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas votes no.
Councilor Tenera.
Yes.
Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram votes yes.
Councilor Pearlman.
Councilor Perlman votes no.
And Council Irish votes yes. It carries 3-2. Moving on to the next agenda item is order number 20-100-8134, proposed amendment to the City Code, Chapter 270, Building Site Development, Section 9 fees with proposed changes as recommended by the Mayor and Building Commissioner. I will start by reading the letter from the Mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for consideration is a request to amend. Oh, I'm sorry. Getting them. Thank you for preference and all that has been here this evening. That is the end of that part of the finance. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Meredith.
Thanks, Meredith.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're on the second agenda item. I'll read the letter from the Mayor. Honorable President Ossing and Council, enclosed for consideration is a request to amend Article 3, Section 270-9, permit fees. Commissioner Cook is recommending aligning our fee schedule with the state guidelines. Therefore, we will see an increase in the fees charged. I'd like to thank Commissioner Cook and our legal office for the time spent on examining each line item and reviewing the recommended changes. Our legal office has put together a comprehensive list that reflects the updates and includes the prior fees schedule. It is not an apples-to-apples comparison because some fees are omitted, added, increased, or condensed. Please note that this change will be effective July 1st, 2021. Commissioner Cook looks forward to discussing this matter in great depth with the Finance Committee in the future. In the meantime, please do not hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. Sincerely, Arthur G. Vigent, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
Cook?
Chairman. Just so everyone knows, or a reminder, as I stated a while back, I want to send down fees for updating across the city and wanting to send them down one at a time. I think over the many years that I've been here, there were a couple times that they were all sent down to the council at once, and it was really overwhelming when you start looking at all the fees we have. This one that I'm sending down now is something that the building commissioner brought up to me. It was brought up by a couple of the commissioners that we've had over the years, that our fees were too low. And the only thing I'm changing on this one, as opposed to the last one that I had sent down, is I'd like the start date to take place on July 1st of 2021 as opposed to January 1st. I think in conversations with the president, we started talking about it, and when we're talking about relieving some fees because of the situation out there, we're going to need additional revenue in 2022, which begins in July 1st of '21, so some of this will fall into place. A lot of this is commercially driven, so if we have commercial projects, it will add on to that. But with that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Cook.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure this works. I am talking to my phone but watching on video. So, reviewing the fee structures, Marlborough has not increased any fees for the building department since 2004, 16 years ago. The big change here is we are basing the fee on the entire construction cost of the project, and that's what all the rest of the communities do in Massachusetts that I contact. Currently, we only base it on the building portion, not the total construction cost. All the surrounding communities to Marlborough all charged by the entire construction cost, as well as everybody else that I contacted. So I am open for questions.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Let me just say, I compared our fees structure to all the surrounding communities of Marlborough and the 5 larger by population communities than Marlborough and the 5 less by population. So I compared approximately like 16, 18 communities.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. I like the idea that we're aligning these fees, these fee schedule with the state guidelines. I think that's going to be a little bit easier for residents as well to understand, for obtaining permits and the cost. I will open it up to any questions from the Finance Committee.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, Council Orem.
Thank you. Just the very first page, actually, most of it makes sense. I just get confused with the minimums. It looks like the minimums are being changed, and where it said, say, for residential, building commercial, I don't know why it's under both, but building commercial, the second section, it says 10 per 1,000, minimum 25. Now it's going minimum 10. It's that minimum of 25 and 10 that's throwing me off. Is that going up or down, those fees there?
The minimum prices are going up.
What was that again?
The minimum permit fee is going up. A lot of the permit fees are 20 and 25 and 30. That does not even cover our processing time, where it takes about, when you add in all the clerical staff and the
and I agree with you.
It's review and the actual inspection. We probably spend closer to an hour and a half per a simple roof permit application.
So, Jeff, if I may, through the chair, if that minimum is what's throwing me off. So basically, if I had a project, and because you basically said minimum 25, changing it to minimum $10, that tells me that's going down.
I don't see where you're saying the minimum $10.
Well, if you go to type of permit fee, you have the first section, building residential, the second section, building commercial. If you go to building commercial, go over to the right side and you'll see it seems to be you crossed out the minimum of 25 and went down to 10. Does that mean we'll be raising more money?
So, we must be looking at different items.
I think, Council Orem, I think that's 100. I think, Council Orem?
It's 100.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna. What I'll do, Jeff, is I'll talk with you this week.
Sean.
We don't need to go through the nitty gritty, but I'm in agreement of the whole concept, the whole concept, in my view, is that we should be charging fees for projects of these nature. They're basically paying for the services, and we were just talking about previously at the Personnel Committee, we need to attract employees to the city. In doing so, we obviously need to pay them, and to pay them, we need to make sure our fees, especially user fees, where these fees apply only to the person taking out the permit. User fees should be adjusted on a regular basis so that we're collecting what it costs to do the service. So thank you for doing this, Jeff. And again, I might be just thrown off by some of these numbers. We can talk offline about that.
Certainly. Anytime, Councilor.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions from the finance team in regards to the scheduled fees?
Councilor Perlman, Chair Irish.
Councilor Perlman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a question regarding, the implementation wouldn't be till July of 2021, and I'm just wondering, the communication to the public about some of these fee increases, and given the rationale about the user fees, because I know anytime anything increases, right, people are not happy with it, but this seems to be based on people's usage, and then also referring to the amount of staff time spent, right, to actually go through some of these processes. So I'm just curious how that information will reach the public.
I'm assuming we're going to spread that out through the city's website and any other avenues that we have to reach out to public outreach to identify to the public that our fees will be going up.
Okay, and I would definitely, if possible, maybe if this goes through, if people are reaching out, letting them know in the future that fee would increase once it goes into effect. That way people aren't wondering why one time it's one fee and then maybe a couple months later that fee changes.
Correct. We can even put a notice on the permit application now, and that's saying that the fees will increase on the date what we have.
Yeah, I think that'd be really helpful, just given some of the confusion around the resident drop-off facility. I think that would be helpful to let people know, so they're, if they're not paying attention, suddenly it's not like the change is so abrupt, but they'll have that coming down the line. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. I know in the years past too, they've updated with the website with any changes as well under latest news. But Council Landers, did you have a question?
No, I'm all set for now.
Any further? Oh, Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just have one question about the renewable permit fee. Is that a one-time charge, or is that? No.
That's a one-time charge.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Councilor Roby.
Councilor Roby.
Hello?
Councilor Roby, yes?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, and I guess I will go back to the comments that were first made by Councilor Orem. I think if he's following through with this, some of these flashes through and putting in kind of changes the character. So what he was referring to used to be additions and alterations of a residential building. That's now gone, and it's actually comparing residential construction with all commercial construction. But I guess first thing I'm asking is, at the very beginning, building residential, it says in the underline, which is new, 1 of 2 family residential construction. Should that really be 1 or 2 family? If not, what is the second line, the types of permits on the changes.
Okay, I must have a different sheet because I got my sheet right out of the legal that was sent to city clerk, and mine just says 1 and 2 family, or 1 or 2 family.
Yeah, ours says of 1 of 2 family residential construction. So it really is saying 1 or 2, which is kind of what it's.
Yeah, there must be a different format with a typo on it.
Okay.
And when I'm looking at it, it says 1 or 2 family.
All right. Then I guess I have a question on what exactly is renewable energy storage? Not so much what the fee is, but what is it?
Well, the new concept now is they're putting in big battery packs.
Okay.
So somebody that has a lot of these, let's use like a large facility like Home Depot. If they line their whole roof with photovoltaics, they need someplace they can store it. It's why it's made during the daytime for use at night. So what this fee is based on is just totally what the system is producing, not the storage fee. The storage would be a battery pack system. They're always coming out with new technology, and that will be based on $10 per thousand, the normal rate.
The
So
minimum,
this right here is what they're generating.
okay. So the minimum for residential is 50, but for commercial it's 100. Is the assumption
Correct.
they would be putting out more energy? So you would have a higher minimum to charge?
Correct. I'll tell you, I just did a permit for 11,000 kilowatt, which is a normal, small, good-sized house. They run from anywhere from really 8,000 kilowatts up to 16. This permit that I just did today was $300. So it's nowhere near the minimum.
Okay, and I would guess most of these aren't going to be near the minimum if it's based on the 3 cents per watt.
Right. I went 3 cents. I identified it by the wattage that each system is creating. Because these prices that they come in, somebody will come in and give me a price for 8,000 kilowatt, and it will be $16,000. And then somebody will come in with 11,000 kilowatt, bigger, and they'll turn around and says it's $8,000.
Okay.
So, because what they did is that one for the 8,000, they took off the subsidy and everything else that they're getting coming back from the government for the federal programs. So this is basing the system on just totally what they're being generated.
Okay. Going down to, you have underlined adding the word building to miscellaneous, deleting the fixed fees part. And demolition residential, the fee is now $10 per thousand of total construction cost. So I have a fire in my house. It needs to be demolished, but I don't want to rebuild until I know how much insurance money that I'm getting. But I believe we have rules that say that has to be demoed relatively soon. So how do you deal with something like that you don't know what the construction costs are? Because I don't know if I want to build a 2-story house where I only had a single story before. Would you do a demo?
Okay. The demolition permit we're talking here on for demolition is the cost of the demolition. Demolition of that existing structure. Every single permit that comes in has a construction cost what's related to that project.
So it's only the cost of the demo. It's not the cost to reconstruct the house, which I guess is what I'm.
Correct. The demolition permit is only the cost to do the demolition.
All right. So it's not really.
If you have another permit, it takes another permit. You apply to build your new structure.
All right. So it's not really a total construction cost. It's a total demolition cost.
Correct.
Okay. So could I suggest maybe that word get changed from construction to demolition?
I was just trying to keep it the same throughout everything. That is the cost. What it is on the building permit application. The bottom line is the total construction cost. So this wording is matching up of the state building permit application.
Okay. And I suppose a person with the demolition would understand that. All right, then there's a listing for tents, which is now going to be $50 for residential and no cost for non-residential. So if I want to put a tent up in my yard, I need a permit. Is that correct? I can't just put a tent in my backyard to have somebody go camp in it?
This tent is there's no permit required by the state building code until the tent hits 400 square feet.
Okay, so it's
That's a very large structure.
Is it? It's more like a commercial kind of tent that somebody would come in and put on a property if they're going to have a big party?
That's
correct. Like if somebody wanted to have a wedding in their backyard and they wanted to be safe and have the canopy or the tent put up so that they could be underneath there in inclement weather.
And why wouldn't you charge the same thing for a business doing that same tent?
Because historically all permit fees are based on it gives residential a discount or minimums.
Business wouldn't have any fee.
Here again, my spreadsheet that I'm looking at right now says $10, $50 residential, $100 non-residential.
All right, maybe it's just the way that it's listed in here, but I guess I could go with that then. It's hard to read this with all the underlines and the scratches and what's new and what's existing, but
I'm looking at the clean copy.
yeah, and I
have the clean copy in front of me.
Okay. Then my next question is on the plumbing, which is further down. It's plumbing is residential 1 or 2 family. Is it going to be, and again, I guess it's going to be $150 per unit?
Yep. Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what's being deleted and what's being added. And then renewable permit fee, what is that?
Where is that, Counselor?
That is under wiring residential.
Yeah. That is the electrical portion of renewable energy.
So they have a permit to construct it and then they have to renew it on a regular basis?
No, I'm sorry, that needs to be a correction. That should say renewable energy permit fee. That's the one-time fee when they pull a permit, electrical permit for a like a solar photovoltaic.
All right, so that's a wiring cost. That's addition.
That's the wiring, the permit for the wiring cost.
Okay, and it looks like these are not aligned properly. That's another 3 cents per watt direct current and $15 minimum. And then the minimum permit fee, that is $10 per 1,000 contract cost, minimum 75.
Correct.
Okay, and then the wiring, you've got wiring, where's the wiring? Where's my question? It is new construction or addition is going to be the greater of the $100 or $10 per 1,000 of wiring cost.
Correct.
So again, that's so
that should have gotten changed. That is $10 per 1,000 or the minimum cost of 100.
Right. So if I'm doing, is the 1,000 based on the cost of doing the wiring? If I get a bill from a electrician to wire my house and it's $15,000, it's $10 per
$1,000.
thousand.
So
So,
that'd be $150.
so it's, okay. So it's $100 for anything that's the up to $10,000. And then if you go over that, then it's the 10,000.
Correct.
Okay. Are there that many construction wiring jobs that, or commercial, that cost?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then on our copy, there's a whole schedule of stuff that's called the 110 annual inspections. This is all new. Is that correct? There's nothing in the current code that talks about.
Somewhere there is a 110 inspection schedule in there. This is the state out of the building code.
Okay.
And so the only thing that we're allowed to change here from the state building code is the last column for the fees for the maximum certification period. Everything else is regulated by the Commonwealth of Mass.
Okay, but this was never part of Chapter 270, Section 9. Is it somewhere
It should
else?
have been. Right.
So this is brand new to. All right, and then I'm just going to throw this out there, and maybe not for answering the question now, but in a recent license board meeting, there was discussion about waiving fees. I see that at the almost the third from the last column, there's a facility licensed by the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission where alcoholic beverages are served, and it's an annual inspection that costs $75. So how is that related to, and maybe you don't even know, somebody could tell me how that fee compares to the license board fees? No.
This fee here is for my inspector to go out, inspect the facility, and we also go with the fire department. Fire department sends a representative with them, and they do not get a permit fee for that. So this is kind of incorporates both fire and building for the personnel. Most of the restaurants takes an hour inspection, and then it takes us 30 to 45 minutes coming back, doing all the paperwork and creating the certificate.
Okay. So I take it along with the annual inspection fee, there's another cost that alcohol beverage facilities have to pay. That is
correct.
Can be another discussion at a future time. I think I was just curious.
Currently, for the 110 inspection for the licensing, I believe our permit fee or the request for inspection is $45. $40. Sorry, $40.
All right. Oh, well, we don't have any old fees. It just says $75, so that's what.
Somewhere we have a list. It apparently it's hidden somewhere else in the ordinance, but we can charge them $40.
Okay, so maybe we can figure out if it is somewhere else and make sure that it's deleted, or that we know exactly where we're amending the code. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Conceptually, I understand what's going on. This is really hard to read in this format, as has been discussed and reviewed in this. I would, and how this, not only have to worry about how it's being presented to us as the council, we also have to understand how it will be presented to the community as well. It would be nice if we had a different approach of structure in presenting this information, which it's basically, here are the items, here are the charges, here's the old fee, here's the new fee, here's any comments, just like a table, a spreadsheet or something, just so that we can focus on what we see as the issues here, because it seemed that most of the things we went through tonight was about not understanding the format of the information. And I think that if we went through that, Tim's been able to, Jeff's been able to get through this and get it going, I think that would make it more readable for us, and also it would make it easier for members of our community to understand what sort of changes there are. And that is also, and with the annual inspections, that would be something that would be basically defined as these are new fees, if they are new fees or whatever. That's just an observation based upon what's been going on, because I think overall it's merit to do and get it done, but this current format is just really, really tough to cover, to follow. So
I apologize for that, because I do not have the format that you have. I have a clean copy that I copied off that was sent in a communication from the legal department to city clerk.
I'm just...
Thank you, Commissioner. I know in the past, we had asked the city solicitor to underline and to strike out and keep original format in the language. So I know we have done that, as well as I know this is trying the fees are trying to align with some of the state scheduling, but I understand, Counselor.
Right. I mean, just, I'm not talking about what needs to be put in proper legal form. I'm just talking about presenting the information that in a coherent and effective way, and then from that, they can be put into legal form afterwards. So, but I have no clout in this committee. I don't vote.
Well, I will have a recommendation, see what the Finance Committee team thinks. Councilor
I'll take a stab at this. So I trust Jeff Cook with what his information is. He's getting data from other towns. If you're a tradesman, you know what you're looking at. So I do agree it is a little rough to follow, but I think if we could put it in proper form, they get a copy out to us, vote on it tonight, everybody take a look at it. If everything looks good, we can vote on it next meeting. That would be my suggestion, but this is me. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Tenera. Question for President Ossing.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next step of this would be going to legal, to put in the legal format, or was it presented to the building commissioner in a legal format?
Well, we'd have to advertise it, but...
Correct, we have to advertise.
Councilor Doucette's point is valid, as is Councilor Tenera. The format that we have, it's a little challenging to read what the changes are, and you heard Councilor Roby go through some of those
Absolutely,
changes.
Mr. President.
Your committee's choice, again, July 1st, 2021, so we have a little bit of time on it.
We have plenty of time.
So if you want to have the commissioner resubmit it in a format you guys understand,
can do that.
I would ask that you work with the commissioner ahead of time so you don't get a different rock. You get the rock that you want.
Right, all right. So, and that's why I was going at it, because I know that down the line, it has to be advertised anyways, and these fees aren't going to be starting until 2021. So if it's the pleasure of the Finance Committee, what we can do is certainly postpone and ask Commissioner Cook to get us that format that I know Councilor Doucette has mentioned, and that would help also with Councilor Tenera.
I can make that motion.
Sorry, Councilor Perlman.
No, I was going to say I can make that motion. So motion to postpone for the corrected format from the commissioner that clearly delineates the changes.
Thank you, Councilor Perlman. I will second that. So motion has been made.
This is Councilor Roby. I'm sorry, I'm not on the committee, and I know it was to postpone, but I guess I would make the point that what we received is probably what the solicitor would want advertised. It very clearly, he's not going to want advertised a document that shows this clean, which is what we've gotten. I think the other fees that we were sent a clean copy that made it easy for us to read, but for advertising and for voting, I believe this is what he would want advertised, and I believe Mr. Grossfield is on now. So if in fact what we received in our packet is the correct document, then to me, you can approve advertising this tonight and not postpone it.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you, City
Madam
Solicitor.
Committee members. Yep. Jason Grossfield. In terms of that question, so this format can be advertised, but certainly it may very well be more, easier to follow if we provide the committee with a clean version, essentially accepting all the track changes. That may be more beneficial, but either version could be advertised. And at the end of when the committee, if and when it comes out of committee and the full council votes, we'll certainly submit a clean version that incorporates, all of these edits and any other edits that are made in committee or at the council level.
Thank you, Mr. City Solicitor. Now, the question is, does Councilor Perlman want to amend her motion?
Yeah, doesn't matter to me, so we can amend the motion if it pleases the committee to accept, to approve this out of committee and then receive and advertise receive a clean copy for our purposes.
Okay. Is that your motion, Councilor?
I believe so. I don't know if I've included everything, but that we would be able to approve this to be advertised and that the council would receive a clean copy for further review.
Thank you, Councilor. I will second that. Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 20-100-8134, proposed amendment to the City Code, Chapter 270, Building Site Development, Section 9 fees with the proposed changes as recommended by the Mayor and Building Commissioner, as well as to advertise. I will call, any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas votes yes.
Councilor Tenera.
Yes.
Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram votes yes.
Councilor Perlman made the motion. Councilor Irish votes yes. It carries 5-0.
Motion
Mr.
to
Chairman?
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Let's call the roll.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook, and thank you. Wonderful work by the finance team. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will call the roll. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas votes yes.
Councilor Tenera.
Yes.
Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram votes yes.
Councilor Irish votes yes. We are adjourned at 9:30. Councilor Perlman.
I voted yes, don't worry.
We are adjourned at 9:36. Thank you.